Hi, my name's Kate, this is Amy, and this is our 2020.
I'm in grade 10 this year, and I've been a part of Rev since the summer before grade 6.
I'm in grade 12 this year, and I've been in part of Rev since grade 6 as well.
So, Kate, Amy, for your family, this has probably been one of the toughest years, if not one of the hardest years of your guys' lives. Explain what this year has been like and why it's been so challenging.
So last December 18th, 2019, our dad passed away, and so that was very close to the end of the year. And then 2020 has been filled with kind of the first of birthdays and holidays, and has given us a lot of time to process what's happened. And it's been hard to get taken out of our regular routines and just think about what happened last year.
Yeah, 2020 has been an interesting year. It's created a lot of space to reflect and think back of what actually happened, but then also look forward into the future. Especially with so much unknown right now, it's also hard to process that as well. I feel like whenever you get any diagnosis, you always ask, why? That's definitely something I've thought about in the past couple years, like why me? Why my dad? What about anyone else's dad?
When I first found out that my dad had cancer, I just didn't understand what that meant. I didn't understand how that looked. And through the first, I would say, year and a half, my dad was normal. He didn't have any of the side effects that were expected. And so I never really thought anything of it. My parents were always optimistic. They never felt like it was this huge thing in our life that was bringing us down, we could still live our normal life. So when I think it first hit me in the August of 2019, and that was at Rev Camp, and Kate actually came up to me in this service, and she was like, "God's got us." She said those words to me, and we both started crying. And I think that was the first time it really hit me that this is gonna change our lives. At that Rev Camp, I just kind of decided I wanted to live my life, not because of that, but I just wanted to make sure that I brought God a part of my life. So right after Rev Camp, I started reading my Bible every day. I started journaling and praying more, and I didn't really realize the impact that had, but as it led up to his passing in December, and even past that, I realized how beneficial that was, looking back at my journaling and my prayers and just seeing how connected I was to him. And if I didn't have that, I think I would have felt a lot more lost than I did.
I would say that this year, every day is a new day, and you don't really know what the day is gonna hold until it happens. Some weeks are good, some weeks are tough. I remember beginning of quarantine, I went months without thinking about it. I was just so, I don't know, I just didn't think about anything that happened, and then it hit me a week, and I was like, wow, that's reality. And then just add the added fact of my routine and schedule being mixed up was definitely tough. Looking forward to my grad year, I just think about all of the moments and memories that my dad would like to be there for. And it's tough because I know he would be so proud. But then it's also, there's so much joy and excitement in those times, those milestones too. So that's what with the help of community and I don't know, just my faith in God, I've been able to look at the positives of every season and every milestone. It's yeah, he can't be there, but he would have been proud. Through my faith, I've been able to see the good in it, see the fruit that has been produced from my dad passing, a pivotal moment that I think about is the funeral. I think about all the people that were there, and I remember we had a screen of like all the people that watched it live or like from all over the world, and there was a map of all the people across the world that watched it, and there was people in like India, Thailand, Poland, like all in Africa, like all across North America and in the States. I'm like, that's how many people he impacted. How he lived his life so faithful to God, so servant-hearted, has really inspired me to like, wow, that is so fruitful, and that the amount of people you impact, and he didn't even know the amount of people that he has left an impact on.
One of the biggest things I've learned in my faith in God over this season has been being consistent and making God a big part of my life, like making time for him, and how even though like every day it doesn't feel like God's doing something, but over time looking back, I see that was like a really big part of that time.
Like I look back now and I'm like, wow, God was so faithful in those moments. I remember the day that my dad passed and I went and played a basketball game that night. And I'm like, now I look back, I'm like, how the heck did I do that? But I just look back, I'm like, wow, that was God's strength and God's peace that got me through that day.
Wow.
And it's like every day I think about when, like, this past birthday, it was during COVID, during quarantine. But it's just the peace of God that just surpasses all understanding, that just gets you through it. Yeah. There's no other answer to how I got through that year.
Wow. And would you say, like, because of how, like, the pain of this last year and 2 years, that you guys would understand, like, God's peace, his character, the comfort that's talked about in the Bible in like a deeper or more real way than you have previous to that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sometimes like this, sometimes I think about the way that I've reacted and the way that I've processed my dad's passing, and I'm like, why am I not like in tears sobbing every day? How am I not like broke? Like, how did I still continue life? How am I not like broken? But it's because of God, and I look at how faithful and how good he is, and I'm like, that's why.
A character of God that I would say I hold on to every day is Prince of Peace. Like, whenever I have a tough day, I'm like, okay, I just need to open up my Bible, read a couple verses, listen to my few songs that I have, and then I just immediately feel peace. And it's crazy how consistent God is with his bringing of peace. It like surpasses all understanding. I don't understand how. I like just know today was a tough day. Now it's time to just read a couple verses and God will bring me peace.
There's so many like things in the like verses and that have helped me, but one promise that I see in the Bible repetitively is the promise that like I will get to see my dad again, and I will get to go to heaven and be with him again.
What's helped you get through 2020?
I think for both of us, community was a big one. Yeah.
Having leaders that care. When you lose a loved one, you don't want constant, are you okay, are you okay, are you okay, how are you doing, how are you doing? Because that's really repetitive, and most of the time the answer is going to be, actually, sucky, I'm doing horrible, like, what do you expect? But just the community of Rev leaders, of just small acts of kindness, like a text a random day, how are you doing?
Yeah, leaders from Rev, and also just some friends. The friends and the leaders that I always draw close to are the ones that aren't like, how are you doing? Are you okay? It's like, oh, like, do you want to do this? And we go and we'll talk about, like, we'll have conversations about the hard stuff, but also we'll just talk about life. And I think COVID has been hard on everybody. And so there's been the aspect of our loss, but then there's been the aspect of like just 2020 sucks, and like going through that with friends and being able to get together with them, or in the earlier months like just FaceTiming and doing different Bible studies together and just being able to connect and talk about like everything was really how I think I got through it, and it really impacted me. Yeah.